Hey, it's Maria here from GoalieTrainingPro.com and working on the second of our series on bottoms up training. So last time we worked on the ankle, this time we're going to look at the knee and talk a little bit about its function, how it impacts or how you use it as a goalie, what to look for if something might be going wrong, and a few ideas on how we can train it to make it a little more efficient to use. So let's get started just by looking at the functions of the knee. So the knee, as you all know, is a hinge joint, so it flexes and extends. That's where it's made to have movement. You really should be able to get your heel to or almost to your butt, although 130 degrees range of motion is sort of what's functional to let you sit in a chair and stand up, that kind of thing. In terms of straightening, you should be able to get it perfectly straight, or some people can hyperextend it a little bit, but if you try to straighten your knee and that's as far as you can get, you're in a bit of a flexion for whatever reason, that can have a big impact on how you use your kneecap and some of the pressure and developing what's called patellofemoral pain syndrome, which really means pain under your kneecap. But so flexion, most of us have good flexion. Extension, you really want to make sure that you can get that knee fully extended. The knee also rotates a little bit. You don't often think of it, but the tibia rotates relative to the femur, or the femur rotates relative to the tibia. And there, it's the kind of thing where you need enough mobility, but you don't need, a whole bunch. So you're not trying to sort of really stretch that. You just need sufficient mobility there. Some people think that to get a wider butterfly that they need to sort of get stretched out in here. Really, that does not come from the knees. So the knees aren't really made to go into valgus and varus. They're not made to move this way. It's actually usually the mechanism of injury of an MCL strain or an LCL strain. That butterfly movement comes from the hips, so don't be trying to stretch your knees into a butterfly position, because number one, they're not made to do that. Number two, you could actually injure them. Now, I know that some of you really like to train your knees in isolation, so you do something like a seated knee extension or a lying down hamstring curl, and those are the big muscles that cross the knees, but I think there's a better way, and really this kind of crosses over into some hip training as well. But the things that I think of when I think of strengthening the muscles across the knee are squats. So you would start just, again, with mobility, like can you get into a squat position? So I'm just holding these straps for a little assistance. Can I get that flexion? Can I get right down there in a nice pattern? And then I look at, okay, well, I can do that. So now can I do a nice just body weight squat with a good back position? And from there I would go, the real test to, again, the knee and the hip work together, so I can't really weed out the impact of the knee, but the final would be, okay, well, how's my stabilization, my balance, and my strength to let me do a nice single leg squat, keeping good knee alignment without that knee falling in. And again, we'll chat about that a little bit more when we get all the way up to the hip. So this is Maria from GoalieTrainingPro.com. My goal is to help 11,000 goalies win more games with fewer injuries, even if you don't know how awesome you can be. So hope these training tips help you achieve that goal.